Welcome back to another lesson. This one is going to be all about government. So what is a government? Government is a group of people who have the power to make and enforce laws for a country. Governments also collect taxes from people and businesses to provide services, goods and services. The purposes of a government, any type of government really, here are the purposes: to keep order, provide services, and protect the well-being of the people. Government started a long time ago. Actually, they trace them back to some 5,000, more than 5,000 years ago in Southwest Asia. One of the first really effective governments was a government that was built by what was called the Hammurabi's Code. And this whole government was built on the theory of an eye for an eye, meaning basically whatever you did to someone else, that's what should happen to you. The United States government is a representative democracy. And what that means is that we, the people, citizens of the United States, vote for people, representatives, to make our decisions. We follow laws set forth by our Constitution, and our government has three branches: the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. It's important to note that many countries in the world have different types of governments, and that are run completely different than ours. There are so many variations. As I just mentioned, we're a democracy, and there's different types of democracies in the world. But a democracy is basically a form of government in which citizens hold the political power. A monarchy is a form of government in which the state is ruled by a monarch, a king or a queen. These were very common way back in history, not as common now. And then the third type really is an authoritarian government. That's where all the power is held by an individual or a small group of people. So those are our three base groups of governments. Inside of them, there are many types. So we're going to talk about a bunch of these. We'll take a time to talk about a bunch of these different types of governments and how they would look if you were living inside of them. Let's start with a democracy. The democracy, no matter what type, what it means is that all the power is controlled by the people. And there's two types of democracies: a direct democracy or a representative democracy. A direct democracy means that all citizens vote on everything. They are the government. So if there's a chance to vote on any law, every citizen would have to vote. A good example is in ancient Athens in Greece. They held assemblies. So these huge assemblies, people have to come and they would have to vote. A representative democracy, like we said, which is the United States an example, people vote for representatives to represent them. An autocracy is a form of government in which the political power is controlled by one individual. So autocracies could be a monarchy, which we talked about, a dictatorship, or an emperor, etc. Okay, we're going to talk about two: monarchs and dictators. So, like we said, monarchs are ruled by kings, queens, princes, and princesses, sometimes by other names, but they're always monarchs. Okay, and the thing with monarchies is usually leaders get their power because their parents were in charge, and then they are in charge, and then their kids are in charge. There's no really voting. It just kind of moves on based on the bloodline. Some monarchies like now, like Spain and Japan, they still have monarchies, but they also have a constitution which limits the power of the king, queen, or emperor. A dictatorship is not an inherited power, but is acquired by force. So somebody takes over the country and they become the ruler. They have absolute control over everything. Okay. North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un II, is considered a dictator. This is not a place really where you want to live in a dictatorship, because all of the people's rights are controlled by one person. So are there other types of governments where only a small group of people make decisions? Yes. And those are called oligarchies. Basically what that means is they're ruled by a few. And there's a couple different ways. It could be religious control. So there's a few people in religion, like a few people in the church, that make all decisions. It could be a military oligarchy. So the military kind of controls it. Or a family, which is almost we get back to a monarchy almostly, but an oligarchy is ruled by few. Theocracy is a type of government that is connected directly to the church. So basically the leader of the church is the leader of the government. We don't see these too often anymore. A type of government that I'm sure you've heard the name of before, might not know what it means, is an anarchy. So that's a type of government where there is no government at all. So there is no rules, right? There is no punishments. And everyone thinks, I know sometimes we think, oh, well, that's a great idea. But who makes the laws and who enforces them and who protects the people? I don't know. It's kind of scary. So those were just a few different types of governments, and hopefully you understand what a government is. We'll be talking more about it this week. Great resource where I got a lot of this information is icivics.org, and there's all types of things which we're going to be doing this week. All right, thanks for checking in.